Hi everybody, this is Sandy Reinhardt, and this is my Google Plus assignment on funding. The first assignment was to compare the district's revenue sources for local, state, and federal. My local district is Cape Girardeau Public Schools. So you can see in the table below where I have compared Cape to the state, as well as Jackson R2 and Sikeston R6, which are our neighboring districts. When comparing Cape Girardeau to the state, Cape is slightly higher in the percentage of local revenue, exactly 3.44% higher. And there was a significant difference between the revenue from the state and federal sources. When comparing Cape to the state, Cape actually received 8.36% less than the average state revenue. However, they received 4.92% more than the average federal revenue for the state. When comparing Cape to our neighboring districts, I compared Cape to Jackson R2 first. And Cape received a slightly higher revenue from local sources than Cape did, 8.66% higher. However, there was a significant difference when you compared the state source. Jackson was higher when comparing the state source by 15, almost 16%. So that's a pretty significant difference. Cape's revenue for federal was a little bit higher than Jackson's at 7.23%. I also compared Cape to Sikeston, which is also a neighboring district, and Cape received a higher revenue from local sources again, a difference of almost 16.3%. But the Sikeston's revenue from state was higher, almost around the same percent, almost 16%, which made then the federal resource actually very comparable, both of them within 1% of each other. Our second assignment then was to review the Secretary of Board report, specifically the Federal Review Detail Part 2. And then we had to talk about our 3 big aha moments. 2 things that we were not surprised about, and then 1 question I still have. So my big 3 aha moments after reviewing the Secretary of Board report was, 1 was just the amount of local revenue that Cape gets. I did not realize that 62% of our revenue came from local sources, almost $33 million. My second aha was the fact that there was county revenue. I did not realize that there was county revenue. And my question from that is, how do they determine the county revenue for each district within that county? Is it allotted the same? Is it a formula? And then my third aha was that just the complete amount of revenue, almost $54 million for Cape Girardeau Public Schools. And I think that just puts in perspective the total or the sheer amount of funding that it takes to educate students, not only in Missouri, but just across the country. If a medium-sized school district with 4,000 students takes $54 million to run, I can't imagine what a larger district such as Springfield or Kansas City. My 2 things that were not surprising was the amount of revenue that we get from our school lunch and school breakfast programs. We are 62% free and reduced lunch, so that was not surprising to me, as well as seeing revenue from other school districts, because Cape Girardeau does have a career and technology center that is utilized by many neighborhood districts as well. Finally, 1 question I still have for the Chief Financial Officer for Cape Girardeau Public Schools has to do with the delinquent taxes that I saw under revenue. Almost $1.2 million in delinquent taxes. So my question is, what kind of taxes are these? Are these like delinquent property tax? What kind of taxes are they? Is there a fee or a penalty that's added when taxes are delinquent? And is there a policy in place for collecting delinquent taxes that are owed to the school district? Hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thanks.